Hello, Western Cape. Hello, South Africa, and welcome to episode 8 of Hashtag Community Matters, the monthly conversation where we unpack the big issues shaping our community, our infrastructure, and ultimately our future. I'm your host, Caitlin Pillay, and today we are diving into a topic that might sound a bit technical, but actually it affects every single one of us every day. For the past 14 years, the Western Cape government has been quietly running one of the most important diagnostic tools in the public sector. This is called the Property Efficiency Report. Think of it as the annual health check for every building the province owns or rents. Are we using electricity wisely? Are we conserving water? Are we reducing operational costs? Are these buildings modern, safe, and serving the people as they should? And what makes this report so significant is that it doesn't just measure performance, it guides impact. Every rand saved on energy, water, and maintenance can be redirected into core service delivery, schools, communities, safety, health, and the very infrastructure that keeps this province running. So today we are unpacking how well the Department of Infrastructure has lived up to that mandate in the year of 2024 to 2025 in the mandate of the last financial year. What's working, what's improving, and what it all means for the future of the Western Cape. And to do that, I'm joined by a man who brings more than 2 decades of leadership, governance, and the public service experience to the table. Our guest today holds a postgraduate diploma in management, has served in multiple strategic leadership roles within the Democratic Alliance, and was elected as the DA's provincial leader in 2023. He has served as a provincial minister across human settlements, roads, public works, and now once again leads the Department of Infrastructure under the 7th administration. Before joining the provincial cabinet, he spent over 20 months in the legislature, chairing key committees on environmental affairs, agriculture, economic opportunities, and tourism. Even earlier, served at municipal level as MACO member and speaker in the Garden Route District Municipality. Beyond the titles, he is an avid reader, a golfer, and a passionate chess player, a thinker, a strategist, and someone deeply committed to public service. Ladies and gentlemen, communities across the province, welcome to the 8th episode of Hashtag Community Matters. I am Caitlin Pillay, and today I'm chatting with Provincial Minister of Infrastructure, Minister Tertius Simmers. Minister, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon to all of our viewers and streamers and podcast viewers across wherever you are in the world watching our show, believe it or not, for the year.
And I'm definitely feeling that unity. We spoke now about how united women of our country are feeling. But more specifically, we want to focus on what you are doing in your department that is bringing positive change in other sectors as well, specifically in the Department of Infrastructure. And today we want to talk about the Property Efficiency Report that is making waves and helping positively affect other sectors as well. Tell us more about this report and what exactly it entails.
Well, now look, the Property Efficiency Report, or the PERS as we call it, it's on its 14th edition. In effect, we are the only provincial government actually in the country, if you include the national departments, it actually does that. Now, 14 years ago, my team went abroad and they were confronted with what is called the State of the State report, which measures the impact and the efficacy of government and its utilization of its asset base, which means their buildings, the space they utilize within these buildings. So the question which we ask as a province is, are we actually efficiently managing our portfolio? Are we reducing our carbon footprint? And are we also creating a work environment for our female and our male employees across the vast number of buildings which we do own or lease across our province as part of our portfolio? But I think because we are citizen-centric, it's also how can we convey all of this data in a palatable, linguistic and visual representation to the citizen?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the taxpayer and the citizen funds the leases, the upgrades, the improvements. So ultimately, the property efficiency report speaks to all of this, how we are optimally utilizing the space at our disposal, but also ensure that those who are employed by us are safe, they are healthy, that the buildings are efficient in terms of energy and water consumption, but also that you as the citizen who come to our building, You can enter a space where it's safe. It's lowering our carbon footprint, and you are part of the journey of change.
Definitely, change is what we are all about. And South Africa attended the International Asset Management Global Conference in the UK, which, as you mentioned, the State of the Estate report was inspired by the State of the Estate. Tell us a bit more about the goals in terms of what the report is going to achieve.
Well, firstly, one needs to understand, because there seems to be this misperception that after day zero was nearly upon us and so forth, we suddenly popped up with this.
Hmm.
The fact that it's 14th year
Yes.
must tell you that this was long before a drought, long before we had water crisis, and long we had now what is called the infamous load shedding, or the loss of energy due to the grid not being able to produce for us. In actual fact, 14 years ago, when my team went abroad and they were confronted with the state of the state report, which was tabled in the UK, the question was, but hold on, we have this massive asset portfolio. How do we manage it? How do we ensure we optimally utilizing it? But also, how can we make better decisions into the future?
Yes.
Because as you are aware, we are connected and committed to lowering our carbon footprint by 2050. And all of our spatial design, the use of our spaces, all of this plays a massive role. From the way, from the type of air conditioning systems we use, to the tinting on our windows, and so forth. So all of this actually awoke that thought within us. So
Yeah.
when day zero hit the city of Cape Town, we were actually, all our buildings in 2017 were quite well prepared for any form of drought. Honest, because we'd started introducing new forms of water reticulation, water reusage, and yes, grey water usage for other functionalities within our buildings as well. And we came to a point where, as much as we learned 14 years ago, I mean, I attended a session which was in Katowice in Poland, where I could present as a province to other countries how far we had come. And we are actually quite leading as a regional government. We compare our peers
Yeah.
to, to other countries.
Yeah, because I was going to say, when I was in 2018, when we were still challenged with the drought, I was a student and running around to get water, not knowing that a system such as the PER or PERS was in place. But now that there are still issues with water, there are still issues with space, with energy. Um, how are the building blocks evolving in maintaining and capturing this data so that we can move forward? Because we also know that the government has a lot of goals, as well as making sure that we have a net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Well, firstly, and for our viewers in you to understand, we have a massive asset portfolio. So we measure schools, clinics, daycare hospitals, office buildings itself in the inner city and across all 5 districts. But 14 years ago, when we started, we had to build 3 very crystal clear building foundations for it. We focused on water, energy, and the space. Are we optimally utilizing our office space at that stage, or could we actually optimize our own buildings? And who do we measure against? Because no other provincial government does it. The national government still doesn't do it. They're still aspiring to do it, I must say. So who do you measure yourself against? So again, we took a look at other countries. But fast forward now with our 14th edition, which I will be tabling actually to our cabinet later on this week. Proudly so, because we've now matured beyond the 3 building blocks. Because now we focus on how do we achieve net zero faster? How do we do it before 2050? How do we reduce our reliance on the national grid? Remember now, we started with energy, water, and space. But energy 14 years ago was changing the light bulbs, for instance. Now we're way beyond that. I mean, even my own office building I sit in, it's totally solar. Now I installed battery storage systems, which means that there are certain times during the day when we totally cut off the grid and we're fully on solar. And we're rolling out this to a number of clinics, schools, daycare hospitals, and hospitals as well. Because for us, it's how do we go beyond just it being a simple report in the long term? How do we make this a better planning and monitoring tool? What are the water savage? And then the 14th edition, and I can't divulge too much of what's happening in the report, I must still table, but I'm able to say how much 1,000 kiloliters of water have we saved in X number of schools, clinics? What is the rand value of the save? How did we then rechannel that saving into our citizen? What benefits are they gaining? but also in terms of the new upgrades we are doing to schools, clinics, and day hospitals as such, excluding the solar panels which we are installing in the battery operated systems. It's actually the efficiencies in terms of our design, which have now become a part of our upgrades and maintenance program. And transfer of skills. We are creating skills of the future as well through our efficiency processes.
Well, there's definitely big moves being made. And I think we want to know more about which properties are you looking at as well, because there's also been a 9% drop in consumption, energy consumption, in government owned and leased in buildings rather. Tell us more about that.
Well, look, so far, because we have such a massive portfolio, so we've restricted ourselves because we want to test the efficacies, improve every year. No system is perfect, it's man made ultimately at the end of the day. So at the moment, in between the 13th and the 14th edition, we are now monitoring 129 buildings across our province. That's a total floor space of about 1.5 million square meters, which we are actually monitoring daily in terms of all of our asset base. So what we do is, and these cover from normal administrative offices, like I sit at 9 Dorp Street, which is my head office
Yes.
for my portfolio. We have a number of primary schools across our province, from a rural school to a school in Khayelitsha, for instance. We cover the whole spectrum for them. We have a number of secondary schools, again, the entire province, but also hospitals and clinics, which are your high energy users, to be quite honest, as well. Now, 35 of these buildings, which I've just mentioned, of 129, are actually well within my own office portfolio across the Western Cape. Because if you want to lead, people must follow by showing and seeing what you are doing is the principle of me and my department. So in terms of 9 Dorp Street is a very good example, which is my head office. I mean, we've got the 5-star green building rating. I think we probably one of a few government buildings in this province that can say that, even in the country, in terms of office space. So we're very proud of that. It was a massive achievement for us. I think the only other 5-star in the Western Cape is the F&B building in the city of Cape Town, if I can recall from my memory. But it's also, these are spaces which are utilized by the public daily. And many of them will see and feel the changes systematically. Light bulb here, changes in the tint there, the water usage, so forth. But ultimately, this ensures that the asset performs well, we expand its lifespan, and that you, as the end user who enter our building, can look, feel, and experience the difference. And as I said earlier, we are lowering our carbon footprint daily.
Before we continue, remember your voice is an essential part of hashtag Community Matters. If you have thoughts on today's discussion, questions for the minister, or insights from your own community, we want to hear them. So send us a WhatsApp on 0829 913 913. Your contribution could shape future episodes, and if you'd like to continue the conversation online, you can reach the minister directly on Twitter X, that is @min_T_Simmers. Don't forget to tag your post with hashtag Community Matters so that we can follow along and continue engaging. All right, let's get back into it. Minister, the only thing I'm thinking is you have the coolest office ever. And anyone who wants to be sustainable and energy efficient will want the same. I think that's definitely the direction we are moving in, especially under with your leadership and great change that you're bringing about. Because we also want to understand more about digital twins and how that is being used as a tool to visually capture what is happening in buildings. Explain to us a bit more about digital twins.
Oh, no, indeed. Over the last 2 years, we've now started said, how do we take the pairs, but how do we digitize and visualize what we are doing? We are in the era of artificial intelligence. It has made a lot of things possible, which some people dreamt of at my age many years ago. I must tell you, I'm living in that dream, to be quite honest, at the moment. So we have started firstly digital twinning my own building. We have just completed digital twinning Grooteskier Hospital in its totality, and we are doing more and more buildings. It's quite a costly exercise.
I see.
And what the digital twinning is telling us, we're now linking that into our systems, which will monitor the water usage, the energy usage, and so forth. And the digital twin, you can then go into that, click on a floor, give you the information of the energy usage on that floor, optimal cubicle usage on that floor. It will tell you the energy consumption at a specific time when you go onto that floor digitally. And I jokingly say, at the end of last year, they gave me the the goggles to go into this 3D model and nearly walked against the wall. I'm not a gamer, so digital goggles and stuff is not my scene, to be quite honest.
Sure.
But I actually saw the building which I walk in daily in three-dimensional format. I saw. I actually used my own office as an example, so I could open the door, I could click on something that would tell me the energy use, the water consumption, everything that I wanted to know was available in that 3D modeling, or the twin of, in my case, my office, which is now my entire building. And we are now starting to say, okay, with groot skier being now done, what lessons do we learn from that mega hospital? Because it's an academic hospital, it's quite big. So there's even more lessons for us to learn, and we are partnering, obviously, in digital twinning
Yeah.
with tertiary institutions to see how can we further enhance that. Because my vision as a minister in looking at the property efficiency report is how do I do a twinning model of the entire Western Cape per district. So when you come to our office, you can say, look, what's happening in George, in this hospital in George. You just go there and you can see what's happening live through a twin model.
That sounds super efficient. And that definitely sounds like the future. And we're in good hands moving forward in especially being just a more sustainable in our economy. We spoke a lot about the successes. What are some of the challenges that have helped us bridge the gaps, whether it comes to attending faster to burst pipes, rural facilities, and or facilities that are needed in rural areas, load shedding, a lot of issues that have maybe helped us bridge the gap in reaching these successes.
Well, indeed, and this is, again, I must still table the 14th edition to cabinet because we've made a lot of improvements every year. Again, I asked the team at the beginning of the year, how can we measure faster responses when there's, like I said, burst pipes or there are minor infrastructure faults? Look, nothing is perfect. Human made, I must acknowledge that. How do we expand that efficiency into our rural areas and our rural facilities? Because whether you live in Khayelitsha, in Cape Town, or in Ladysmith in Kangaland Municipal Area, which is 6 hours drive from Cape Town, the look and feel of your government must be the same in terms of its efficiency. But also, how do we integrate all of this into real time, but also utilizing the best technology that exists currently to monitor this effectively, to streamline this. But also, we do have an aging infrastructure base. I must acknowledge that. And how do we systematically improve and expand the aging infrastructure's life cycle, to be quite honest? So this year's report, again, I won't go too deep in it. It will be loaded onto your various platforms very soon. We then started focusing on monitoring burst pipes. What is the turnaround time when you log your issue? How do we efficiently address it? How did we ensure that we didn't lose a lot of water? And part of the report focuses on that. And I must say, I was quite proud when I read the final report, which I had to sign off on, because we have now come to a point where I can tell you exactly at that school, due to this reason, we've lost so many kiloliters of water over the last year. This was the cost, but this is the intervention which we've introduced, which will actually curtail that for years ahead. But through this, we have also managed now to bring on board other technical skills which we never possessed in the department. Because, like you earlier said, we are living in the future almost. And living in that future, you must have the skills of the future.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to be a plumber, but these days plumbers are very skilled. For instance, these new types of tools they utilize, which, I mean, it looks like a doctor coming to your house. I mean, I experienced this going to the building. It wasn't a doctor, it was a plumber because of the technology they're utilizing. So no, we've also had to recruit, train, and expand. And I mean, we are training our own staff at the moment, I must tell you, because this is where we're heading. Our systems are now designed for that. So again, I look forward to our citizens finally picking up a copy of the Paris, the 14th edition. Just browse through it. There's an executive summary. Then there's a detailed one for those who love to read over the festive season.
Yes.
It's up to you what you want to read. But again, it shows you living in a Western Cape, which is actually in the future, partially there already in terms of efficiencies.
I want to take it back to your office space, and for anyone that's watching right now that feels, how does this positively affect them? Because hearing information like that, Minister, from you tells us that you are definitely thinking in terms of what's going to push us forward, and it can only positively affect all the other sectors, all the other plans in place, whether it comes to healthcare, schools, and other sectors that can the funds can be redirected towards. So, how does this affect the regular man on the street?
Well, given that the taxpayer funds basically in our expansion and our maintenance and upgrading program, I think the biggest thing that stands out for us in terms of the efficiency report, and you will understand this if you look at the scale of our department and the scale of our monthly electricity bill, which is massive. Now, just by introducing minor adjustments and efficiencies, we've managed to save actually 9% of our energy consumption. That's hundreds of millions of rands annually,
Yes.
which instead of paying for energy consumption, we can rechannel and reuse that. And the citizen is feeling the impact of that saving daily as we speak. But also, we have seen in terms of the Green Building Council of South Africa, we have won multiple awards. Like I said, my building is a 5-star Green Star graded building, which I think is one of the few government owned buildings that can say that. But I would love a 6th star, I must say. I must find out where the 6th star went to in this efficiency cycle, which is why, as we prepare for next year, how do we improve on that 9% energy saving annually? Because it's hundreds of millions of rands that we're saving, which can be reprioritized in our budget for something else through to our sister departments giving their challenges. But it's also how do we ensure that that saving also relates to lessons for the normal citizen, the normal consumer, because a lot of what we are doing can be done by households who wish to inquire about it.
Wow. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of progress. So I can only imagine that more plans are being put into place for the following report. What are some of the goals and aims that we are looking at for the next report, especially considering all of these successes? And yeah, tell us more.
Look, I'm always a minister that wants to improve on what we are doing and how we are doing it, and costs. Cost efficiency for me is quite key in my portfolio and my focus for this portfolio. But now it's how do we address the issue of our aging infrastructure? Given the vast network of our infrastructure across this province, given that I just focus on our buildings during today's discussion, we have roads, we have a lot of general infrastructure, we have started installing solar panels. But now it's how do you measure the efficacy of what you have installed? How do you create a maintenance program for that? And that is where the team and I are heading. How do we ensure that with budgets becoming limited, do we further enhance our improvements in terms of our efficiency cycles, in terms of our maintenance programs to our buildings, but also um, what further new recruitment do we need to do into our staff component?
Yes.
Again, you and I spoke of digital twinning. We
Yes.
spoke of my vision for having the entire province on a digital twin map, and it's that requires skill sets. That requires from drone pilots to all these new age skill sets that are needed. But for me, it's the fourth and most important one, which is something we'll be announcing very early on in the year, which feeds into the efficiency report, which you will see next year, is the 3D virtual model being a true mirror reflection of what's busy happening. Real time, we have done the beta version so far this year. So I've touched the future. I haven't been able to drive it yet. But also in terms of, because we all are aware, artificial intelligence does consume a massive amount of energy.
Yes.
So the team are now looking at how do we ultimately improve that energy efficiency. So as we introduce technology of the future, it doesn't come at the expense of our 9% energy saving, which we just
Yes.
proudly a few seconds ago
Yes.
mentioned. So it's balancing the two. So you want to shape the future, but you must be quite mindful of the present and the
Yes.
efficiencies which is needed for that future.
Yes. And even with the advancements of technology, we still need people, which you guys are definitely not just using the right tools, but partnering with the right people. When we spoke about Green Building Council, you guys are definitely putting together a strong alliance in um, carrying out whatever aims that we have to go more green. What are some of the aims or goals with Green Building Council going forward, and how do you incorporate the voice of that organization?
Well, obviously, with the focus of net zero by 2050, now energy is the biggest factor in the room. So, what the Green Building Council of South Africa are focusing on, and which we fully support, given the sheer size of our portfolio, it's how do we, at an accelerated but more cost-effective way, introduce solar and a battery storage system into all of our facilities, which is quite a costly exercise.
Yeah.
So, it's how do you find the suitable partner? It's how do you further enhance your water reticulation, your water usage, given that water is a very scarce commodity and a very costly one if you run out of it. But also taking some of the matrices which the GBCSAUs, which is the Green Building Council of South Africa, utilize. How do we factor that into our own systems, which are already at a very advanced level? I think more importantly, something which they've started talking about in their own reports is the issue of indoor air quality and its impact on the quality of life, but also more how can you make the environment more comfort for those who work daily in your facility, but also if you as a citizen come into your government's building, you can look and feel that look, I'm actually sitting in an office space of the future. I'm contributing and part of this government which reduces the carbon footprint annually, and it's measurable in terms of the efficiency report.
Yes, we can also put our footprint together so we all matter together as a community. For anyone watching out there that needs some inspirational words on how they can play their part and have their footprint as part of be part of the essay that we are trying to strive for, what words of advice do you have for them?
Well, firstly, thank you for this opportunity to engage you on something which many citizens might feel is quite an administrative or academic report, when actually it is not. If you look at the human impact of what we are doing through our efficiency approach, a lot of these lessons you can do in your own house. I think that's key lesson number one for our viewers. How do I reduce my water consumption? Technology exists. There are cost effective tools at your general builder's warehouse which you can utilize. For those of us who are in a position to do so, how do I introduce solar systems into my own home? How do I ensure that I can further introduce the battery system which stores the excess energy? How do I ensure that the air quality of my house improves by focusing on the type of air conditioning system I might have at my house? If you have not done so, what are the do I have LED lights or just the normal heavy energy usage bulbs? Whereas even if you look at your spa and you buy one of these replacement bulbs, it tells you the energy efficiency of what you're buying,
Yes.
but also the type of appliances. Again, this is not focusing on a micro level, at
Yes.
the household level. These days, even your appliances you buy, they tell you the efficiency rating. So uh, it might seem a bit costly now for you, but in the long run, the efficiency will show in the amount of funds you save as a consumer, but also as a citizen in the long run, knowing that I fully contribute to my province on its journey to being net zero by 2050.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for all of this inspirational words and sharing with us what the plans of the government are, especially going into the new year. We know that there's a lot of details of the report that you cannot share with us just yet, but we know the plans are being put into place and it is being made more accessible for all of us that form part of the community. And it's all to better our lifestyle and our future, rather, so that we are also just moving in a more positive direction. But Minister, thank you for all of your insight. Thank you for all that the government is doing in your department specifically. We know that you are definitely positively affecting all other sectors as well. So until next time, thank you.
Thank you very much. And just before I leave, see my team has told me actually you can go into our Twitter account.
Okay.
They have posted the executive summary of the efficiency report 14. So that
Amazing.
is available to the public. The detailed report will be available later this week.
That is amazing. And I mean, we're looking forward to the next report as well and the aims and goals that will be achieved, especially when it comes to you having a fully solar office. We'll be next, right?
Well, I hope so. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for the opportunity. Remember, we are government for you, and all that we do is for you, the
Yes.
citizen.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
As we close today's episode of Hashtag Community Matters, remember, this platform is built on participation, transparency, and your lived experiences. So keep the conversation going. WhatsApp us anytime, 0829 913 913. Share your views, your questions, or the issues that you want to spotlight next. And you can also continue engaging with us and the minister on Twitter X, that is at min_T_Simmers, and tag your thoughts using hashtag Community Matters. We're always listening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Caitlin Pillay, and until next time, take care and stay engaged.